right. Well, hello, fellow travelers. Thank you for joining me. This is the third edition of Jim Flex Time. We're going to be talking about the month of March. The podcast has made it now through 3 months, and so excited about that. And joining me tonight is my good friend Jim. Jim, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. I'm happy to be back. It's always fun.
Yeah, well, I can tell you from the feedback, we've not got anything positive or negative about you. So
all right.
I'm excited to have you back again, as I'm sure everybody else is too, unless they tell me otherwise.
Yeah. All right. Well, maybe we'll try and push some envelope.
There you
get
go.
Some kind of comment, positive or negative.
Well, let's go viral.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but the kids say it, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Let's go viral.
The kids say it all the time.
My gosh. I don't know if I'm ready to be that old.
I mean, I Googled it. I actually do know what it means. I Googled it. Google told me what it means to go viral.
Oh.
So
yeah, because you're only solidifying the fact that you're old now.
All right. Well, so yeah.
It's almost as bad as Googling current phrases.
Which I also have to do.
My Facebook feed handed me one of those,
Uh-oh.
What are some current lingos of the youths? I don't remember what exactly the title was, but that was kind of the gist of it. What are some current slang terms?
Yeah.
And fire was in there.
Okay.
And I thought,
yeah,
this is so old. Anyway.
Along this topic of being old and not understanding things, for me, the confusing thing has been when, and this is going to make me sound really old, but it's been within the last 10 years, but the word bougie has changed meanings. Because when I first started working in camp ministry, way back in the early 2010s, bougie was like trashy or low class. And now bougie means like high class. And so in 10 years, it has changed. So now when people say that person was acting bougie, so I'd be like, oh, they're acting trashy. Now it's like they don't really say people are acting bougie. They just go, oh, I'm bougie, which means that they have the taste for the finer things in life. And I'm just like, this is too quick of a change.
I don't know if bougie's ever changed in my...
Yeah.
How is it that we're the same age? And I think bougie has always meant like high class, but like I do think that it's changed because I think in my youth it was more like you're stuck up. Like bougie, you're like that. You're...
Yeah, a very negative term. I mean, it had a negative sense to it.
Yeah. Where now people are just like, well, that's who I am.
Yeah. I don't know. Okay, so
anyway, I'm good. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
So I'm old. Welcome to my I'm Old podcast.
I'm just saying, I don't know if I'm ready to be that old.
Okay.
Maybe that's the delusion.
I mean, you're older than me, so...
It is true. It is true.
By not much, but enough.
I don't have to Google what viral is, though.
I mean, I knew what it meant, but I wanted to know if there was a very specific number.
Oh, the definition.
The
you
specific
wanted to nerd
number.
out. You wanted
which
to nerd out.
Which is not strange that I would want to know
that's not
specifically
okay.
what the actual number is to be considered viral.
What exactly does it take?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the number?
It was like something around 1 million views.
In a day or something?
Yeah, like in a really short period. And because I had a Facebook post that had gotten to 1,000, and I was like, "Well, I'm so famous.
I'm going viral.
I'm viral." And Callie's like, "I don't think that's what that means." And I was like, "Well, thank you for your encouragement."
Such a support.
And then I looked it up, and I was like, "You're right. I'm not. I mean, I'm viral for me. I'm viral for me. So
yeah, why not redefine it for you?
Yep. I'm owning it. That's my thing.
I dig it.
So how's life? How you been? How was March?
Okay, so March. Camp had a building burned down, so that was fun.
Okay.
Luckily, it was a storage building, so no big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, like...
Nobody was hurt.
Nothing important. got lost. All things that are replaceable, plus storage stuff. I guess some of those things would probably be irreplaceable, but we wouldn't want to replace them.
I was gonna say some of the things were stuff that were still there from when I first started working in camp, and we were just like, well, we don't have enough dumpster space to throw all this away, and so it's a little bit at a time.
Yeah, the tile. So there's some tiles that are going into like valleys and stuff to prevent them from eroding. Anyway, yeah. So that happened. Let's see. That just happened this last week, so I'm going back in time. What else happened? It's March, so my daughter turned 18. So that's fun. I now have an adult child living in my house who I think she listens to this. So, Rebecca, get a job.
No pressure.
No, she's trying. She's trying. Kind of. She wants to finish. I mean, good for her. She wants to finish school first. I mean, high school, get her homeschool all done, and then, yeah.
Okay.
She's thinking about jobs and stuff. Jacob, I have to rein in. He's working 2 jobs, and I have to remind him he is not an adult yet. In fact, this morning, he was really excited to get up early. And he went to the Country Diner in Henry because he wants to join the old people.
I mean, that's a fun group. That's a fun group to join. I'm not gonna quash that.
He's getting in early, so whatever.
I mean, we ourselves have been accepted at the at Chillicothe's track in by the old people.
That's
so
true. We are part of the older crew.
So I can't fault him for that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's about Hannah's just doing school, so
yeah.
I mean nothing.
You went to you've traveled a bit. You went to the 3CA conference.
True.
So you got
go
to do
3CA conference, so got to see a bunch of camp people. That was super encouraging.
Yeah.
To talk to other camps and see what they're doing, and yeah, that's encouraging. And then we went to Greenville University to find some staff. I had more conversations at Greenville University than I ever had last year, the entire time I was recruiting, so that was encouraging.
Yeah.
No staff, but whatever, at least I had conversations. So I don't know if that just means the Greenville University kids are nicer than anybody I don't know what that means, but
yeah.
it was
hey,
still,
if you're at Greenville listening, you're nicer than anybody else.
You're nicer than everybody.
If you know somebody at Greenville, send this to them so they can know that they're nicer than any other school.
Everywhere I went last year, you're better than them. So,
I mean, that is one of my. Did you accomplish your goal? Because don't you set a goal where you're like, you want to be at an event like that where you don't get ignored by anybody, so you make it your goal
yes.
to talk to everybody.
Actually, yes,
you accomplished that at Greenville.
I did.
Nice.
I also put on the Sasquatch suit and walked around the room.
It's harder to ignore. It's harder to ignore.
Pretty hard to ignore a
Bigfoot.
Sasquatch with Grados Camp T-shirt on. So,
well,
that was a good hour and a half of my time spent there, just walking around. I even went up to the lunch area, and there were some police officers talking about shooting people. Well, they weren't talking about shooting people. They were talking about shooting out of their vehicles, which was weird. And then they saw Sasquatch walk up the stairs. And then I realized I was in a Sasquatch suit and I couldn't eat anything. So I had to turn around and walk away.
Oh, that seems like a sad Sasquatch walk.
Yeah.
Like to walk back.
I mean,
down
I
the
got to
stairs.
survey what was up there. So then I asked somebody else to go get me something. Somebody, Bree came with us. So I asked her to go get me a sandwich.
Okay. All right. Very good. Very good.
Yeah. But overall, it's been good.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in the middle of, let's see, this is faith season at camp, so running on faith that God's going to provide, and that and provide not only staff, but also the wisdom to adjust if he doesn't provide the staff that we think we need, and things like that. So,
Yeah. I mean, I lived that life for 7-8 years, so I definitely been praying for that, and know that I always told people that I know God's timing is perfect. I just wish it matched up a little bit better with mine, which is we would have the staff hired yesterday. But he never did that, and so but it's one of those things. It's where you wait and just see. I mean, you do the things too, that is a good time, a stretching time at camp for sure.
Yeah. So that's my month.
Okay.
How about you? What did you do?
Cool. I did a lot of content creation. I think that maybe the only thing that I did was write blogs and make podcasts, which is not bad. I got to do a third interview with my friend Jesse, who I met through talking through a mutual interest after I wrote a blog about Nateland. Just talking about how much I enjoy Nate's take on community and trying to build up kind of this this whole media company that's made up of his friends and people that share his passion for clean comedy. So I got to do an interview with Jesse. If you listen to that, he has a reptile sanctuary in Pennsylvania. So that was fun. Got to starting.
What was your favorite part of that interview?
I think just hearing about the way that God had a calling for Jesse that wasn't he called me to be a missionary, he called me to be a preacher, or he called me to Africa. It's that Jesse had a heart for reptiles, and he uses that as a touch point for how he can talk about the gospel. And sometimes he doesn't get to share because he's visiting a school or like a library, and there it's not so much faith based, but he can still just kind of have that presence there. But he also gets to go to like Christian camps and share about reptiles and share about God's creation. And I just love the how God took his creativity, Jesse's creativity and passion for reptiles, and turned that into a thing that not only is that what he does for a living, but he's able to create content that's good, that's clean, for all to see, and also just use that to expand the kingdom. And so, for sure, just hearing people who go, so I just had an idea, and it became this, and God, moved and blessed in that way. So that's probably my favorite thing about that. I've started writing. I don't know if it's full time. I'm a freelance writer for Pathos. So I've done 1 month of that now. So March 1st till yesterday, Saturday was April 1st, so I've got a whole month of that. Just started kind of developing an audience in that, and some people are coming over from that to the podcast, I'm sure. And so if you're here from that, welcome. I just really enjoyed getting to write, and it's kind of it all kind of bleeds together. So I'll write some stuff, and then I'll talk about some stuff, and it's hard to keep it from flowing into each other. And so some of the stuff that I write about is going to be what I talk about. That's just the way the brain works. But so that's mostly what I've been doing is every night trying to figure out the whole how much I want to market this podcast, how much I want to market my blog, how much content I want to create, because the Pathos is like, wow, you can write one every day. We don't care. They're just looking for good content, but they want content that people are going to read, and new content, maybe trump even whether people will read it or not. So just trying to figure out the balance of that, putting out content, and just also trying to stay refreshed in my relationship with Jesus and that too. So that's been that's been what I've been doing. I also know that we both have seen. I haven't talked to you about this yet, but I know that you saw John Wick, and I saw John Wick this week as well.
Oh, yeah.
So without any spoilers...
final one.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, I guess, unless they somehow make more of them. I don't... Who knows? I hope it's the last one.
Do you think this one was more violent? or equal violent to the previous
Equal
ones.
violence.
Yeah.
They all have the same. Because once you get to a point, can you really have more violent? Like, unless you're just like.
I don't know if you could be more violent, but I definitely had a sense of they kept kind of doing the same scene. In this one, for sure, it felt like there's this one scene where he's like driving a circle around these set of cars, and he does it like 3 times. And you're like, okay, that's pretty good. And then he goes a couple more, maybe 3 more times, and you're like, I think we could have just stopped at the 3. I don't know that we needed that. I will say that the coolest scene definitely was when he was in the 2-story or the 3-story bungalow, that apartment complex, and they did the top down, and so like he's like running with, and he's got the shotgun that's shooting the fire.
I really did like that special effect.
And all you can see is the top.
Yeah.
That was a cool. That's something I hadn't seen. Thought that was probably the coolest scene for the whole
that was
entire
pretty cool.
movie there. So I just think they repeated some things like. With the nunchucks, he beat up a couple guys, and you're like, okay, I've seen him use nunchucks, but then it's like, no, let's do it a couple more times, and you're like, I was good with just the first 2, like, because it's a long movie.
It is a long movie. I think
like 3 hours and 10 minutes or something like that.
It 3 hours?
Yeah. Oh
wow.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. Well, whatever. I didn't realize it was that long. I must have really liked it then, because it didn't feel like 3 hours. So a friend of mine asked me about John Wick and how I feel about it, and it's hard. What's interesting about John Wick, because I know the writer of the first 2, and so because I have a relationship, and a pretty close relationship with his family, not necessarily to him, but I've got a pretty close relationship with his family. Like, it's just one of those interesting things of, like, number 1 is the best one. I'm sorry. But if you've seen the first one, you've seen the best one. But I like them all.
Yeah.
And I like them all because, I don't know, they're fun.
Yeah.
It's just a fun movie to watch. But I was telling a friend, if you're looking for meaning and like, plot line, these are not the movies for you. Because just know it's a movie that's fun and everybody dies. Like, those are all 4 movies. That's it.
I have a friend that he does stats for where I work, and he was telling me that the most interesting thing to him was that he read an article about how much Keanu Reeves gets paid per word in this movie.
Oh,
because
it's got to be multiple millions
per word.
Per word. Right, because
it really depends on what you count. How many times he just goes, yeah, because that's sometimes all he says.
The man doesn't really speak. Which, again, one of the reasons I like the movie. Like, if you're looking for dialogue and meaning, man, this is not the movie.
I mean, you definitely can't say that. Like, well, I think the dialogue drug on, because. They're not. There was not many scenes where it wasn't
guns.
Like violence.
Guns.
Yeah. So yeah, John Wick. Can't. It was entertaining. I don't know that I recommend it. Viewer discretion advised. It's a lot of violence.
Yeah. A lot of violence. A lot of F words. If you don't like either one of those, don't go to those movies.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. It's interesting because my wife really cares about language, and she's really on top of it. If an F-bomb gets dropped in a movie, and for the most part, I don't even know. Like, I don't really even notice it most of the time.
Yeah. I don't know. So there you go. It's a quick John Wick review.
It was good. I liked how it ended. They concluded it well, I think.
Yeah.
I hope that's the conclusion.
I mean, they tied up. They definitely tied. They definitely tied a bunch of loose ends up, and didn't really leave anything hanging.
I mean, they kind of left.
Well, there's
that one dude.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why I would say if there's going to be a John Wick 5, then it's going to be an offshoot. I think it'd be that guy.
Yeah. Okay. I see.
But
yeah, maybe.
But it will have to be a totally different plot because John Wick versus the World is no longer going to be the plot of the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could. Star Wars did it. You could just redo the movie, the plot of the first movie, and call it a fifth movie. But let's say that they don't do that. It's just when you print money like they do on things like that. It's just I think it's too that they start
you
going.
Think it's too attractive?
What if we could just?
What if we just did this one thing?
I mean, there's another Fast and Furious movie. There's another Fast and Furious movie coming out. Yeah.
Holy smokes.
I think it's supposed to be the last one. But it's got John Cena is now the good guy, right? Because he was the bad guy in the last one. So now he's got he flips on over to the other team.
Right. That's how they do those things.
I imagine. I don't.
I mean, that's what the first one was. Yeah. The good guy became the bad guy.
Yeah, and now they flip it the other way. The bad guys become the good guys.
Well, so. I guess both happened in the first movie.
Yeah, that's
true.
The
bad guy became the good guy, and the good guy became the bad guy.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go.
Why be simple?
There you go. Welcome to Movies by Paul and Jim.
That's a new segment. Critic hour.
There you go. New segment. All right. March. Any podcasts think about?
All right. So you did
all the funny.
Once again, you gotta name them because all I remember is topics. So you did one on prayer. That was.
Well, hold on. I can't even remember the names of them. I probably should remember those.
Was the prayer one the annoying neighbor one?
Yeah, annoying neighbor was prayer. So I did. So the first one was Can Marketing Save Jesus? Talked a little bit, very little about actually the He Gets Us campaign, but I did talk about it, just not a whole lot. Then we did Awkward Dinner Parties, and that one was about the woman who came and cried at the dinner party and
fragrance and all of that. Right.
Then, of course, The Annoying Neighbors, that was the one that talked about prayer. Did the interview with Jesse, and then the mustard cakes, that was the last one. So prayer and then the mustard cakes was just about the kingdom, how the kingdom of God moves and works, and why God chooses to move the way He does. So those are the 5 things I did. Can marketing save Jesus?
So I had a conversation about prayer. And it actually brought up the same. I don't know if we were referencing the same scripture, but the same story, where Jesus casts out the demon, and He says this one only takes much prayer or whatever to get out. And we were talking through it a little bit in wherever we were, and. Not you and I, but myself and some other people were talking. As we came back from Greenville University, and we were just trying to figure out kind of maybe one of the nuances of the context. And so I think one of the things that struck me that you kind of brought up in your podcast too was the idea that it's not necessarily the disciples weren't able to get rid of that spirit, not because I guess I would argue that they got too hooked up on they got the process down. Because when Jesus had already sent them out, and so they were already doing miracles and they were already casting out demons. And they come back, and they kind of have that. All right, we got the right process going on now. And then I think that story emphasizes the idea that no, it's following Christ isn't about a process. It's not about a sequence of activities.
Yeah.
It's about trying to be. Because when Jesus says this one with much prayer, he's referring to the idea of being in communication with God.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to tell them, no, look, you guys got too hooked on the system and doing things not that they were doing, but I know just doing ministry, it's really easy sometimes to be like, well, this is what works, and this is how this goes. And so when it doesn't work, it either throws you into a crisis of faith, or it and you can respond to that in two different ways. That crisis of faith, you can respond in a, well, what didn't I do that's right, which is really kind of uncovering a little bit of the legalistic kind of attitude of you fell into a system, versus, okay, Christ, what does God want me to, how does God want me to react to this? How is God moving amidst what I don't see as moving?
Yeah.
And so I think that's, and you were talking about that in the prayer episode a little bit. I mean, I think you went a different avenue, but it brushes up against each other because you were saying, I mean.
Well, I think that when Jesus is talking about prayer, I think it's something deeper, because I think when we think of prayer, we just think about, oh, that's the time when I ask for the things I need. And I think Jesus is using the broader sense of that relationship, as you said, that the relationship with God. And so it's not just like, oh, yeah, now I can say this prayer. It's that you're moving in such, that you're in step with God, that the things that you want are the things that He wants. And so it's that type of relationship. An interesting thought came to me as I was thinking about this is, when did Jesus ever pray for Himself? Like, we don't really have a good prayer where Jesus prays for Himself, except for when He's in the garden, when He says, God, if you can remove this cup from me, but not my will, but yours. And I think about I think about the question that John the Baptist had for Jesus when John was in prison, and that's I don't think that was Jesus' cousin. Jesus didn't want to see him come to the end that he came to. I'm sure if Jesus thought that it was God's will, or knew that it was God's will to intervene, He would have, and that's a prayer He could have made. But we don't get to see the inner workings. But it doesn't seem that that's the prayer that Jesus asked, because Jesus was like the blind see, and he's like John says, hey, are you the Messiah? Because John's in prison, and I think John maybe is a little bit hoping that Jesus is going to come bust him out, hey, let's get out of here. Right. John was the greatest. That's what Jesus says about him. He says, no one has been greater than John. But then He says, but greater are those who believe in me. And so it's this kind of reminding that we try to put a box around prayer, and we say, oh, it's just this, it's when I need that. And I think with the disciples it's the same way. Oh, there's a demon, well, let's cast it out. And there wasn't that continued connection to the power source, and so it is that, I think, that idea that we have to be fully dependent upon God, and prayer is not a thing that we wield like a hammer. We can't just pray things and expect to smash through buildings. It's something that we wield, but it's a tool that is more about what God's doing through us. And I think that is I think it comes back to what you're talking about, very, very much so, in that there's no magical words. And so when Jesus' disciples come to Him and says, hey, teach us how to pray, what they are saying is, give us the words. In a lot of ways, I think that which makes sense. Teach us what words to say. And so Jesus gives them those words, but then he moves on, and I think that's the interesting part to that, is not just, we all know the Lord's Prayer, and that's a very important thing to know. But then the next portion is, and that's when He says, if a friend has somebody that comes and visits, then they're going to knock on that neighbor's door until they get their food, because they're annoying, because they're going to be impetuous, they're going to be persistent. And then He says, and if you are as a father know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more does our Heavenly Father know? And then the whole scripture ends with, and so God will give you the Spirit. And I think that, like, to put a big parenthesis around it, is that he's talking about inviting God saying, and Jesus saying, prayer is about inviting the Spirit to live out through your life. And it's not just saying these words, although that's a great starting point, but that's not where the end should be. And to accomplish this thing, this casting out this demon, you have to be where the Spirit is flowing through you, as it was through Jesus. The Spirit was upon Jesus, it was in Jesus, he was Jesus. I don't know how to explain that, but he was, and he was able to cast it out. And so the disciples were like, how do I pray? Which is a human question of what words do I use? And Jesus was like, here's some words, but understand what they mean and what they're bringing about. And the simplicity of them is amazing. It's like, yes, we should pray that, but we should also realize that it's an invitation, it's a start point, and not just like, okay, I've said my prayer, I did the Lord's Prayer, I'm good for today. And when we're thinking about prayer.
Yeah. I think there's a little bit of, I don't think we were able, I don't think we are able to see Christ's specific prayers, because, I mean, who knows why they didn't get written down or overheard by the disciples or whatever, but part of me wonders if that, at that time when John is asking him, or John's in prison, if it's just like very similar to when you're trying to connect with somebody and your schedules are just not lining up, you know, like, and you're like trying to make it work. I'm wondering if that's kind of what Jesus's prayer life looked like at that moment of like, God, are you sure you don't want me to go over there? Like, Father, are you sure you don't want me to go over there?
Yeah.
Like, is there something I can do?
Right.
And the Father just keeps saying, no, I want you to keep walking this direction.
Yeah.
Which is away from John.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's how in tune Christ was with the Father.
Right.
And that's what he's trying to show the disciples of, like, that's where you have to be.
Yeah.
It's not dogma. It's not religion. It's not following the rules that guides the Holy Spirit. It's the other way around. The Holy Spirit guides us.
Yeah.
And then out of that love, that understanding, like you said in the other podcast with the woman, those who sin much are the ones that understand. I mean, that understand they've been forgiven much.
Right.
They're the ones that. Those of us like that. I mean, I understand that I sin all the time, and so. I mean, it's just one of those things of like
Right.
The things that I do for Christ, I don't do because I think He needs me to do those so He can love me. I do those because, I mean, I work at camp because how gracious was God to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, like, it just, I think it's so hard because there's so many good things that Jesus could have done. He could have healed more. He could have gotten John out of prison. I mean, there's I think no denying that if Jesus had wanted to do those things, He could have, and yet He didn't. And I think the difference of when you talk about Jesus' prayer life is that Jesus was stuck on the fact that He was saying, I'm not going to do anything unless the Father tells me to. And I think that in my life where I struggle, because it's hard to tell sometimes for me, and you can speak into this for yourself, but it's hard to tell sometimes when it's me who's wanting things and when it's God who's wanting things. And so I want to try to be self-reflective enough to not drag God along with me, to say, God, I'm going to go do this. Hey, you come bless this. You come along, but rather be the opposite of saying, okay, God, I want to follow you. So where you go, I want to go. Where you want me to stay, I want to stay. And I think that's some of the difference is that I think the disciples hadn't caught on to that the reason they had the ability to do things they did is because God was going out before them, and prayer and is figuring that out. And I think that, I mean, it's not easy. Sometimes you just gotta go because you just thought about it for long enough that you're like, look, I got to make a decision. I got to do something. But sometimes it's just hard. Sometimes it takes. Sometimes the more you pray, you ask, God just has to keep showing you. And so I don't know. What do you think about that weird line of like my desires, my thoughts, what I want to see happen, and what I feel like God wants to see happen as well.
Yeah, I think. I think that's the hard spot. I think there's a lot of times that it is clear for us, and we know that we're walking down some kind of selfish road. I do think it gets fuzzy at points. But honestly, some of the best advice I've ever had is somebody told me to read the book of Proverbs. More than one person has told me to read the book of Proverbs, but there was
just that one person.
I was debating in my head about future things and what I should do and possibilities and all of that, and reading through Proverbs really does help because and specifically he told me to look for how does Proverbs describe the wise and the rich? And if you read through it and you look at it and you kind of study it, Proverbs describes the wise and the rich as people that are not necessarily only have material things, but those material things are for the benefit of their communities. Those are the wise and the rich. And so I think that really helped clarify some of what you were talking about for me as far as when is it God and when is it me. Just being able to put on those lenses of, okay, so how is this decision going to impact me and my community? And by community, that can mean a lot of different things.
Sure.
Right now in this room, it's you and me.
Yeah.
That can be my community. Community can be your family. Community can be your actual community that you live in. Things like that. So I think, that has helped me. That's just one of the recent things that has helped me try and clarify that and it's just stuck with me. Ever since, that was a while ago, and that's just stuck with me. The idea of reading through, just having that mindset of the wise are always looking for the benefit of the community. The rich are rich because they're trying to benefit the community the most, not themselves.
Yeah.
And you think through all the really, that's an evident truth. Look through all the YouTubers that you enjoy that are, earlier we were talking about Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast, I think, is probably the number one growth YouTube
expert
guy. I think he's growing. I think he's YouTube's biggest growth subscription, I don't know, channel? Well, I don't know what you call those things, but
he's an influencer, Jim.
Yeah.
Now who's old? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, whatever. Anyway.
So YouTube star, influencer, good at getting these things growing. Yeah. Okay.
But he's growing because he's just doing what he likes to do. You know, like he's not. His goal isn't to make money.
Yeah.
And maybe that's shifted since I last heard an interview with him. But I mean, I was just listening to an interview, and he genuinely didn't care about making money or losing money. Like, I mean, he's trying to keep his business afloat.
Yeah.
But that's not what he's thinking about when he's trying to be the biggest YouTube. Like, that's the spot he wants to be in.
Yeah.
And so...
Yeah, it's a weird catch-22 for him because he gives away so much, and so people are like, oh, people only watch you because you give stuff away, and so when people watch you, you get more, but the more you get, you give away, and it's like, good.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't
Keep
watch
doing
Mr.
that.
Beast, so I don't really know. I guess I've seen a couple of his videos, and I guess they're entertaining. It's just not my kind of thing. But I mean, my whole point is
right
that he's looking for the benefit. Like he's huge,
right,
and he's not trying to be that. Like
right,
because that's the only thing he's focused on. He's trying to put out really fun videos.
Yeah. Well, I think that idea of conduit, right? Like, we are trying to be a conduit from God's blessings to other people. And it's not about my name or your name. I mean, it's really fun to do podcasts, and it's really fun to talk about God. And we would get together and talk about God whether we had a podcast or not. But we want to be an encouraging conduit that God's power gets to flow through and His Spirit gets to flow through, because we don't want, like, I mean, and that's been the whole reason why I started the podcast. It's because it was like I felt like I was the guy in Jesus' parable that was burying the talent, that was saying, you know, I have these things that I can do, but I'm not doing them right now, and so let's use the talent that's given me to how many ever people would listen. And I'm grateful for anybody that does listen, because it's an encouragement to me to know that, hey, even if it's just one person, even if just one person gets encouragement to walk more like Jesus, then I'm going to keep doing it. And so it's that, I think that conduit thing of like you're talking about, is that God wants to pour out His blessing in the places that it's going to be then used to bless others. That's what the rich and the wise do, right? That's the community. They're looking for ways, and so God's like, I want my blessing to continue on. It's not just for you. And those people who hold on to and that's, I think, a little bit what the parable of the talents is about, is like, if you just get your little bit and you just hold on to it and you bury it and you hold on to it, then you don't get it anymore. God's like, well, you're not using it. So I'm take it and give it to somebody that's going to give it away. And so I think that is. I think Mr. Beast does a very good job of that. I mean, I don't know where he's at spiritually, and so I'm not saying he does it because God speaks to him. But
I'm not, and I'm using Mr. Beast. So similar to think about your favorite business. Yeah. Think about your favorite local whatever business.
Yeah.
You like them probably because they put out a good product. And probably, especially if it's somewhere local, because you like the person behind the counter.
Yeah, right. I mean, you want to see them succeed.
And
because they benefit you,
right? And so, I mean, like whether it be a coffee shop that you like, that coffee shop is trying to benefit the community, and it's very obvious those businesses that are trying to benefit the community versus businesses that step in that are just trying to take over.
Yeah. Well, I think we all long for that community. We want somewhere to belong. We want to help build, and I think that is definitely what we see so much. And so I do think that I think it is. I think it still becomes like a point of meditation to get back to say, okay, God, and to search our own hearts. Okay, God, is this you speaking to me, or is this me out of frustration or fear? Is this me out of impatience? Is this me out of struggling, and where I'm ready? Like, am I just coming? Am I just saying, oh yeah, I think we're ready to move because I'm ready to move, or is this you actually moving? And I think that you've got to be painfully honest with yourself to be like, okay, because sometimes God uses discomfort to move us, and sometimes God just uses discomfort just to shape us. And so we have to be aware of, like, is this the kind of discomfort where you're poking the sharp stick that says move along,
right.
Or is this the sharp stick or is it the chisel that he's breaking off some of that hardened parts of our hearts?
Yeah.
And sometimes they feel really similar.
Yeah. And I think that's when it starts getting hard, is when he's taking something that was good. I mean, think about COVID hitting. Think about all the great VBS programs that got killed in churches. I mean, and maybe by now some of them, most of them probably bounced back, but I know our children's program hasn't returned. I mean, maybe VBS has, but like, just people didn't come back. So you can't run the same programs that you can. And so maybe that's changing now that it's been 3 years. But if people aren't coming back, if positions aren't being filled, that's the hard spot of, like, so what needs to change? Are we just not looking in the right spots, or are we not doing something right, or like? So that's where I would agree with you, where it takes a lot of soul searching and genuine prayer. Like, not, and what I mean by genuine prayer is just that psalm like openness of, if it makes you angry, just expressing that anger.
Yeah.
If it makes you because I think if we don't have that communication, what's going to happen is, with God, and we don't, similar to, like, if you're not talking to your friend or your spouse or whatever, a lot of times assumptions take over, or just expectations take over.
Yeah.
And it's not good for your relationship. And so I think we can do the same thing with God. If things are hard and we just want to be like, oh, well, God's looking for my good, and so we take that hard and we don't show it to Him. Yeah. We don't admit it, and I think that's what I mean by genuine prayer, of just being able to bare your heart to Him honestly, and being ready for Him to tap on it a little bit, because if you bare your heart to God, He's going to expose some hard. Yeah. He's going to expose, because He wants all of us, right? I mean, I've been pursuing Him for, basically my whole life, and He's still after me. For whatever reason. And it's not like I've achieved something. I mean, He continues to show me how much I absolutely need Him. Like.
Yeah, I think it's like the lessons. That's what, like, March for me has been, like, the lessons that it's not new. Like, God hasn't been like, hey, here's a new thing that you've never seen before. But it's a reminder of the things that I knew already and had probably heard sermons on. I mean, as like you, I grew up in church, and so I've been, for the better part of 40 years, been going to church. 43 years almost going to church, and I probably have heard all these things, but it's the last couple of months, couple of years, maybe, definitely the last couple of months have been difficult for me. And March, about the time, so it would be annoying neighbors. Definitely was a point. Like, I just talk about it a lot, but it's just a point to where I got to where I could say, okay, God, I've been worried about some things for a long time now, and they've really distressed me. They've really caused me to have struggles with just understanding who you are and what you want from me and what I'm supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I think I talked about this in the Knowing Neighbors a little bit, but that's when I was reading the story about Mary and Martha and Luke, and then I went to church and my pastor spoke on that. And I was like, okay, God, you don't have to get the big hammer out. I'm catching on to the vision. But almost immediately, when in that passage at church, it was read, and it was like, Martha, you're worried about so many things. There's only one thing that's important, and there was like just a part of the walls that I had built up around my heart and my life just crumbled down, and I was like, okay. All right, God. Yeah, I've been worried about way too much. The only thing I need to worry about is knowing you and making you known. And it's not like I didn't know that. I mean, I probably had preached that sermon. I don't know how many times before at other churches and other times in my life. I probably said, "Hey, you guys, look at Martha. She's too worried, and we should be like Mary." But it was a moment where God just met me, and He was like, "Hey, pay attention." And I was like, all right, I'm going to do that. Yeah. And it just broke in a floodgate, and my outlook on things has been totally different because God said, hey, look at things different. Don't stop being, complaining and sour about everything and worried about everything, and instead see Jesus. And I was like, all right. And it changes me. It changes my attitude. And that's what March has been for me is like, yeah, okay, God, you got it. You're right. I've been worried about so much, but the only thing that's important is knowing Jesus, is sitting at Jesus' feet. And when I started to do that, and as I've been doing that in this month and for the rest of March, it changed my attitude, and it changed my outlook on life, and it changed my getting up in the morning and being able to go about my day because it really spoke to me. It really spoke changed my heart. So,
yeah, and that's what's fun about how the Holy Spirit moves, is He moves deeply, intimately, and so we're all on these waves, right? I mean, we're all on these waves, and so, like you said, we're just trying to be conduits so that whatever the Holy Spirit can hit as many people as He can.
Yeah.
With the upwave.
For sure. Yeah. That's I mean, and it's not that. That's what I think it's so. I think that's why when just maybe a final thought here. We've been talking about this for a while, but I think that's why when Jesus' disciples say, "Hey, Jesus, teach us how to pray," Jesus teaches them this Lord's Prayer, and I think that a lot of it is that it brings back to it's not new every day. It doesn't have to be new every day, but it comes back to this: God's in heaven. Give us today this bread. Give us today. Forgive us of our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass. Like, it's the things that we need for today, and that's it. And it's a constant coming back to God and saying, what do I need for today? I need to know that God is God. I need food. I need to know that I'm going to be forgiven and that I need to forgive others. And that His kingdom is here advancing on the earth, and I want to be a part of that. And that's what the prayer teaches. Obviously, you can pray other things and should pray other things, but it's a reminder that as people, we need to come back sometimes to be like, all right, what are the basic things I need to know? Because sometimes we complicate it so much, and I think that's just from my life is like, yeah, it's not things I don't know. I know God is good and He's got good plans for me, but if you don't feel that way or you don't see it, then you kind of lose yourself in that. And so I think that it's we need that reminder, need that encouragement of coming back. All right. Well, we've been serious for like almost an hour, so now we gotta have the fun parts. We don't want the I don't want the listenership to get. This might be a long one. This is maybe the longest one that we do.
Okay.
So here we go.
Yeah, I mean, because That was fun. I mean,
Yeah.
I enjoyed whatever that just was.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
let's keep it rolling.
All right, so here we go. I've got would you rather questions to remind our viewers, listeners.
Oh,
viewers,
here we go.
We're not doing any viewing, listening. One of us,
Viewings to come. That was a
Maybe.
hint. That was
Maybe.
a hint.
maybe. Who knows? I don't know. I certainly don't. I don't know who's in charge of this thing. So, would you rather questions? I will read it out, and then we'll take turns being the first one to go. The first one gets to choose whichever option they want to defend or choose, and then the other person has to choose the opposite and try to come up with a good reason why that is actually the better reason. So here we go. Jim, you get to choose first as a guest, always.
All right, here we go.
Would you rather run at 100 miles per hour or fly at 20 miles per hour? So that's the only way that you can get about. Let's say that, like, as far as traveling, I think you can walk. Well, like you don't have to run 100 miles across your house, but
Okay.
like you're gonna like we're gonna go distance here. Would you rather run 100 miles per hour or fly at 20 miles per hour?
Fly 20 miles an hour.
That's a bold choice.
I mean-
can you explain why?
Because, I mean, you can go up.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I've just always liked flight. So flight is... Plus, I mean, crow flies, you don't need to go as fast because you can go as the crow flies.
So you're counting on cutting down the distance by going straight line.
Yeah. Yeah.
and not
I don't
have
have
to-
to curve at all if I don't
Okay.
want to. If
All
I'm
right.
in a hurry, I can beat just about everybody there probably going straight.
Okay. Okay.
So, but that's not even why I'd choose that.
Okay.
I'd just much rather fly. I am not a runner. I don't know if you've seen me around. Running is not the thing that I do.
Okay. Well, but neither am I. But what I do know is that if I could run 100 miles per hour, I would.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
would be a runner. I
Okay.
would be a runner.
You would be.
I would
right.
be a runner.
100 miles an hour is pretty quick, I will say.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you get places. And as someone who has never left the continental United States in my life, I don't have to worry about it. I guess eventually someday I'm gonna get a passport and leave the continental United States. But for now, the only state that I would have to worry about getting to would be Hawaii.
Okay.
Unless the 100 miles per hour also included some kind of Jesus powers where I could run on top of the water. That would be the only time where I'd be jealous of your
Yeah,
ability
how far
to fly.
out in water can you get if you're running 100 miles an hour? 'Cause
It
you
feels
can't-
like
it's not
you go-
fast enough to skim across the top.
No, but you could it feels like you could get a little ways at least before you.
But it'd be,
totally sink.
I mean, that's what I'm asking. Like, is it 4 steps and then like a huge biff, or is it
I
just
don't know.
like? Do you
Man.
actually get to skip across the water a little bit? 'Cause
All right,
you're
tune
going
in
so
next week,
quick?
folks, when we do a MythBusters, 100
Ooh,
miles an hour.
Nice. There's the next.
No, that's not going to happen. I don't know.
Somebody write us in. Or
Somebody who knows,
somebody
somebody who
figure it
can
out.
do math and physics, please tell us how far can you get if you're running 100 miles per hour, or is it even does it even matter? Like,
I really feel like it's 4 steps and the water's too deep, and you just biff it, face plant into water at 100 miles an hour.
or does it? Because maybe it doesn't even matter. Like, maybe the first step in the water is just you going down into the like. Are you hindered in any way by going through water? So are you still going 100 miles
Oh,
an
you're
hour?
still running 100 miles
but
an hour
you're in
underwater?
water. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Can you? Because I feel like there's nothing going fast doesn't keep your leg from going into the water. So the moment that you are fully over the water, your leg goes as far down to the water. So the further you get out, like, how can you? Is running 100 miles an hour similar to swimming? Like, if your legs are pumping so fast that you're going 100 miles an hour,
You're just swimming
or you're
across
just
the top.
paddling,
I
like, are
see.
you just
So, like, you face plant, you keep trying
Yeah.
to run.
yeah,
I see.
No, not even face plant. Like you're going. You're so similar to swimming. Your legs are moving so fast that it creates buoyancy, and so like you're just chest straight up.
Going through
the ocean.
Okay. I don't.
I'm going to choose to believe that. I take my answer back.
I'm
no longer jealous. I'm going to run to Hawaii.
I'm just going to fly to Hawaii at 20 miles an hour.
That seems like a very long trip.
Yeah, maybe that's too much for me.
All right. I don't know. Somebody who knows physics is probably shaking their head right now.
How long would it take to get to Hawaii at 20 miles an hour? How many miles off the coast is it?
A lot. I don't. Okay. So here we go.
You've been to Hawaii. How long's the flight?
I have. Well,
from LA.
From LA to Hawaii. I can't remember. I think it was like 3 hours. It wasn't like super.
3 hours at what? Maybe. What do planes fly? 400 miles an hour.
How many miles to Hawaii? Here we go. From here, it's 4,086 miles. So if you take off from Peoria, Illinois, at 20 miles an hour,
that's too much math. I don't know.
4,000.
That's a lot.
That's like 200 days. You'll get there
under a year.
Yeah. Oh no, I may have just done math wrong. Anyway, probably just did math wrong. That's probably not even a question. I mathed wrong. All right, here we go. Second question.
All right, you get to choose first here. I gotta defend.
Would you rather? Which one I want to do here? Would you rather spend a year entirely alone, or a year without a home? With a year, so spending a year entirely alone, or a year without a home.
All
right. Oh man. This is a hard one for me because I'm like an extroverted introvert. So I like people, but my energy, I don't get energized from like being in large groups of people, and that's kind of what extroverts are. I don't mind being in groups of large people, and I don't mind being like the center of attention or up on stage or whatever, but I get energy, and so the idea of having a year alone with just like books and just reading, I still think that I'm too relational, so I'm going to have to say a year without a home. I'm going to go a year without a home, and I'm going to backpack, I'm just going to backpack the Appalachian Trail for a year.
Does Callie get a home?
No, she has to go with me. She would definitely do that.
Okay. All right.
For portions of that time.
I hear your lies. And I totally thought you were going to pick the independent.
I know. Now you got to do a year alone.
Defend the
why.
Oh my gosh. In my year alone. Well, we were just talking about prayer.
Yeah.
I feel like that would teach me a lot.
See, I go back and forth.
I think I would.
Yeah. You could go be part of a monastery somewhere and just be like.
Not alone though.
Well, you could be in like your own like little cubicle cell kind of thing, and like you could be like
yeah.
Or you can make your own monastery. Go live in Colorado, up in the mountains.
Yeah, it doesn't say I didn't have a home, so I've got a place,
right,
that I can be.
You just gotta be alone.
I would agree with you. I think I'd miss people, but I do also get genuine recovery out of solitude and silence, and I guess I've studied that enough that I know the benefits of it, so I could probably check into that. A year would be a really long time, and it'd be hard, but
yeah.
But I could see a benefit for it.
Could write a book.
I've had a couple book ideas.
Could Man. Yeah. All right. Now I need to hear.
Is alone even like without a phone even? So like no contact with the outside world?
I think so. I think that's what I would.
Or old fashioned count, like so I could write letters.
I think you could. I think you could write letters but not receive them.
Okay.
So I think that because I can't think of anything lonelier than writing letters but never getting one back.
Never getting one back.
As per my last letter,
haven't done the dishes yet, child.
Things are good here. Hope things are good there. Yeah. I
think especially if I could send letters, I think I'd definitely be able to, because there's some writing there. I mean, when you're sending a letter, you're doing a little bit of more self-reflection, and if it's 100% alone, like I have to pretend like the entirety of the outside world has died.
Yeah,
that would make it a lot harder. But I still think.
Yeah. I mean, there's an appeal to just being alone, being able to just like write a book, write some letters. 365 days seems like that would be. I mean, I think you would eventually. I think it would be harder to come back because I think you would eventually adjust to the aloneness. Like I think that, but I think then it would be harder. I think people would be more bothersome.
You'd be weird for months. You'd be weird for months after you came back. For sure. You develop weird habits.
You just like jump whenever somebody enters the room. Like, oh, I know you were here. I was just here 5 minutes ago.
Even in personal routines, you just develop some weird stuff that would...
Yeah.
I mean, think about anything you did 2020. You're still recovering from some of those habits, aren't you?
Yep.
All right.
Yep. All right, here we go. Would you rather spend the weekend with pirates or ninjas? Would you rather spend the weekend with pirates or ninjas?
What?
That's right. You get to go first on this one, buddy.
I get my pick at least. Oh, pirates or ninjas? I don't. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
I'm gonna go ninjas.
Okay.
I'm gonna go ninjas because we brought up John Wick.
Okay.
And it'd just be fun to hang with ninjas.
Okay.
Because I feel like your choices here, I'm reinterpreting the question.
Okay.
But I feel like your choices here are sneaky deaths, assassins, gangs.
Yep.
Versus stealing, raping, and pillaging.
All right, well, I'm going to reinterpret your interpretation.
I'm not really into the... Because what I know about pirates... I mean, that's basically all I know about pirates. So I think I'd rather be a part of the sneaky assassin crew for a weekend.
Okay.
And just witness some John Wickness.
Okay. So I would say that maybe there's some good-hearted pirates out there.
Oh my gosh! Pirates of the Caribbean.
There you go.
There
you go. Yeah, sure. Why not? But I do think that the pirates are the rowdy. They're gonna have a good time. They maybe the weekend they've already done all of their stealing and robbing and all that kind of. We're just celebrating. So I'm just gonna hang out. We're just gonna party. And have a good old time, and maybe I'll get a hook for a hand. Why not?
Who knows?
Who knows?
That's
what
more
can
than
happen.
a weekend, though.
Well, just a weekend, I could get a hook for a hand. I don't know. Let's make it a goal. Peg leg, maybe a gold earring.
I don't think you get a peg leg for a weekend either, buddy.
I'd keep it.
Just have the doc reattach it later.
Yeah. Yeah,
right.
I mean, it's like a tooth, right? You just keep it in milk.
I guess it's just a weekend.
Just a weekend.
I'm sure they can
cryogenically freeze it.
Yeah.
No? Oh, okay.
All right.
Would you rather only eat raw food or only eat TV dinners? Would you
Oh.
rather only eat raw food or only eat TV dinners?
Oh.
I get to choose first
Oh,
on
you
this
get
one.
to choose first.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Okay.
100%, without any hesitation, TV dinners.
Okay.
I mean,
I think I like the fact that you chose that one.
I saw your face, and I thought that you were thinking the face you made when you thought about eating a TV dinner was not the same face that I made. And so I have to say, I don't think I've eaten a TV dinner.
I was going to ask the question. When was the last TV dinner you ate?
Probably when I was in college.
Okay.
Maybe seminary.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're talking
Yeah. A long time ago.
15 years ago, probably.
Yeah.
That being said, I love TV dinners.
I bet you don't.
I do. I
Because
know.
I've had a TV dinner as an adult, and they're not what I remember. It's like
There's certain ones.
it's
There's
like
certain
the movie
ones.
Goonies.
Uh-huh.
As a kid, as an 8-year-old boy, that was the best movie in
Okay.
the world.
Okay.
As an adult man, that's
All
a
right.
terrible, awful.
So here's
Like-
what I can say. Here's what I can say. Banquet, turkey and dressing, TV dinner.
Okay,
Came in a red box.
all right.
Had
I
weird
mean, I know what you're talking
had
about.
weird shaped turkey, one that was white,
Mhm.
one that was dark.
Mm-hmm.
And then had dressing cubes
Mm-hmm.
that were, I mean, literal cubes, mashed potatoes
Mm-hmm.
that you would hopefully get the ice off of them, or just swirl it in. I still know how that tastes. I in my mind, I know exactly what that taste is,
Hmm.
and I love it.
I mean, more power to you. I am 100% okay eating all my raw stuff.
I mean, I would
'Cause I get
die.
sushi
I
eaten.
would die so much sooner than you would.
Sushi count?
Yeah, that's raw fish.
Yeah, but it's got rice.
Yeah, I don't think you want the raw rice.
Yeah, that's not gonna work.
Well, this is
Whatever.
this is-
I don't even care
this
about
is the,
sushi
this
that
is
much.
the crunchy
anyway.
sushi.
This is. Huh.
I-
Yeah, what is raw? Is bread raw?
No, it's cooked. I mean, you're talking fruits and vegetables in their natural state,
Ugh, fine. I didn't think through that
or
one well.
or just.
I still would be happier than eating TV dinners all the time, though.
Oh man, and Salisbury steak, man.
That was my favorite when I
I
was a
mean-
kid. I'm telling you, they do not taste.
I
They do
remember
not
the taste.
I know you think you remember the taste,
I remember
but
the
it's
taste.
not. It's not the same. It's not the same. As
It's
an
not
adult,
gourmet. It's not gourmet, but it's good enough for me.
Yeah, it's just probably why we eat at the Trek Inn.
I mean, I'm just saying. But here's the thing: if you're only eating raw food, you got to give all meat, unless you're going to eat raw meat, which is not a good idea for most of that.
Yeah, I mean,
Fish, you can eat raw fish. I mean, you don't want to eat raw chicken or raw pork.
I don't really want to eat raw stuff, but
Yeah.
I know.
Okay.
I'm giving up a lot.
Okay.
I get
All right.
it. I get it. But
Okay.
I probably will live till I'm 130.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you probably lose your will to live before that, but sure. He died of a broken heart. Oh, over what? He couldn't have meat anymore. That checks out. Would you rather? Oh goodness! Would you rather be unable to close any door once it's opened, or be unable to open any door once it's closed? Would you rather be unable to close any door once it's open, or be unable to open any door once it's closed? this one for me is a no-win situation because it all ends in the bathroom, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. The bathroom situation, you're done.
You either can't get in or you can't get out.
And you're the guy that now craps in the urinal.
Don't be that guy.
You gotta be. You're gonna invite somebody into your stall with you?
That's true. Well, no, if you could open the door, if you can get in the bathroom, you just have to leave the bathroom door open and then also leave the stall open. Because you can open the doors. But if somebody closes the door for you, you can't get out. Somebody let me out.
Yeah, I think in our conversation here, I've turned to I'm going to be the opener of the door. I originally was like, well, I'll just be the closer of the door.
But then you can't get out. You lock yourself in a room. I mean, I feel like the only space that it would be super important to be able to open doors and close them would be if you're in space. You're gonna want to be able to close that door after you open it, or if you're in some kind of quarantine where you're gonna want to close the door behind you.
So the choices are only open or only close.
Right. You can only do one or the other.
Yeah, I'm. You gotta go open. Because of the bathroom, you gotta go open. I'm glad I'm the one that gets to choose. Because you gotta go open. For the very point of, if you can only close doors.
You can't, well, I guess I said that. It's, you can only you're only able to close a door once you're unable to close the door once it's been opened. So if you open the door, then you can't close it. But you're also unable to, or you're unable to open the door once it's closed. So if the bathroom door is open, you can go through it. If somebody closes it or if you close it, you can't open it afterwards. Versus the other one, which is you're just not able to close. So you can if you open the door, you can't close it.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to stick with my closing. I'm going to stick with my original. I'm a closer.
Okay. I just feel like this is one of those that you would need to have a very understanding family that would follow you around and be like, look, I'm going to close this door, and when I'm done, I'm going to yell. So I'm going to need you to open it for me because I can't.
Yeah.
But I'm going to close the door.
I mean, either way, you're losing. I mean, either way, you're going to lose.
Hey, did you see that door open? Yeah. You know I can't close it. Go close that door. Did you leave the door open again? I cannot close the doors.
I can't do it.
Like,
can't you close doors while you're born?
Not even the bathroom. Think about this. Getting into your car. You can only open the door. You can't close it. Or you can't open the door once it's closed. Just driving down the street, your door's open. Hey, buddy, your door's open. Yeah, I know. You think I don't know?
You just have to go Ace Ventura of just having no doors, or John Wick. I mean, pick your movie.
Just slide in through the windows. Just slide in and out.
Oh yeah, Dukes of Hazzard style.
There it is.
Okay,
there it is.
All right.
All right. As long as there's an open window. Oh, that's gonna. Yeah. I don't know. Can you? It doesn't say about windows. I don't know if you can open or close windows.
Did the Dukes of Hazzard ever have an episode in the rain?
No.
It was always sunny?
I mean, I can't say that I watched a ton, I remember a ton of Dukes of Hazzard episodes, so that's probably, yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Alright, let me see what I've got here. Oh man, let's do 2 more. 2 more? You want to do 2 more? Yeah, let's do 2 more.
I mean, whatever.
Do I have 2 more?
Did I just choose? Who started this now?
I don't know. You can choose again. Here we go. Would you rather
we
go?
kind of tied on that one.
Yeah, that one was a
we
a
both were
end.
just like, nah, it doesn't matter.
Would you rather go back to kindergarten with everything you know now?
Okay.
I'm assuming that you actually morph back into a kindergarten, but you have the
So
knowledge.
not like Billy Madison style or whatever. Like
That's actually what I thought of. Like,
back to school. Prove that I'm
you kids are
not
going
a
down. Just playing dodgeball. Kindergartners. Oh man, don't watch that movie, people, folks.
I mean, Adam Sandler's funny, man.
Viewer discretion advised.
Yeah, I mean,
We are on
if
although
you're underage, I guess.
I feel
maybe
like we
not.
could finish it with the same that's we are all after we finish this segment we can go we're all now dumber from hearing that.
Probably true. Probably
Would
true.
you rather go back to kindergarten with everything you know now,
Lady, you're scaring us.
or know now everything your future self will learn?
Oh, when I want to go. Well, I don't have that many regrets, so I'm gonna go with the second one. I mean, like, I'm sure there are regrets that I have. I don't, but that's not where my head sits. So I think I'd much rather know whatever future wisdom I'm going to. I'd rather have that now.
Okay. Yeah.
That's an easy one for me.
I think the struggle is, and the reason why I don't think it's that easy, I would actually choose kindergarten. Because if now that's again saying it doesn't really explain it, but if you go back to being a kindergartner with the knowledge that I have now, so I get to live fully the next, I get 40 years of knowledge put back in my brain, but I'm only 5 or 6, and I get to live.
Okay.
The trade off is how much more are you going to learn? Now I know you assume that you're going to learn a lot. But what if you only have like 3 more years of life? Then it's not a ton of knowledge that you're getting. So there's a trade-off there that I'm okay with saying, all right, I'll go back. I mean, I guess if we're going to say that, there's no guarantee I make it out of kindergarten. Maybe I drink, like...
You think you solved cancer?
I think I know.
Drank poison.
I think I know too many things, and I go, oh yeah, no, you do it like this, and I electrocute myself. And I'm like, dang it. Oh, I should have done the other note. So
no, I see your point.
I think it would be. I think it would be. It's intriguing to.
It would give
to
you
have,
way more opportunities than we had, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'd also be able to learn. I think the breadth of learning things would be greater. So like. I would think that if I went back and could go back to kindergarten and already know the things I know, but continue to learn things through a regular life, it would be greater than if I just knew whatever I'm going to learn from now on. But I could be wrong.
Okay.
I mean, that's.
I think that's because you crave knowledge.
I collect it
and love that stuff.
I do.
I think the appeal to me is more of that old man wisdom stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I say, it's a risk either way.
Yeah,
because how long it doesn't really say how long you get to use the knowledge; it's just that you have it.
That's true.
What do you think you would learn? Like if you had some knowledge downloaded into your brain right now from future Jim, what do you think it would be?
Well.
What do you wish it would be?
I'll tell you what I hope it would be. I hope it would be something that would allow my faith in Christ to be genuinely deeper and more real. Because I mean, the more I pursue Christ, the more I realize that that's what I'm lacking. Is not a genuine faith, but the deep faith. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, every season of every spring season at camp. That's what it does. It emphasizes, you say you trust me every year, and then it doesn't look the way you want it to look, and then you don't trust me. And so it's like I'm relearning those same lessons, and so I would hope that would get deeper.
Yeah. That's best case scenario. Worst case scenario.
My fear is it doesn't change at all, and I learn nothing from now until my death.
Well, I think you what if it happens and you're like, I only feel like I only get like a day or more. Am I dying tomorrow? I feel like I only learn about a day's worth of knowledge. Is this telling me something? Like, that's worst case scenario. It's like, I feel like my time is. Or I got worse. I actually lost wisdom
It's like the end of Indiana Jones and the Lost, the Last Crusade.
Yeah. You were chosen poorly.
I feel death. I feel death. That's another movie that adulthood ruined.
Yeah.
I used to like the Indiana Jones movies, and then I watched them as an adult.
Adulthood would do that to you, man. Don't grow old kids.
He chose poorly. Did he? Thanks for clearing that one up. So that one's not the right one, then?
He melted into a goo. That wasn't what we wanted?
That's not the goal. That wasn't the eternal cupness thing going on? Oh, okay.
Thanks for the clarity there.
Gotcha.
Captain Obvious.
You, sir, have been alone for too long.
All right, last one. Here we go. Would you rather get away with a terrible crime but live in fear of someone discovering it, or go to prison for 3 years for a crime you didn't commit? Would you rather get away with a terrible crime but live in fear of someone discovering it, or go to prison for 3 years for a crime you didn't commit?
All right, you wrap us up.
Oh, man. That is... Whew. I don't know if I can't remember if we talked about prison in the one that we didn't record, or if prison seems to come up in the would you rather questions quite a bit. And so, I can't remember, because we talked about, you and I have talked about, if we had to live in prison, what that would look like. And I think that maybe I'll take the coward's way out here and say I would rather live in prison, because then I don't have to live with this idea that I committed a terrible crime. Although maybe you did it for good reason, so I'll let you think. Maybe
I never thought about that.
Maybe there was,
Okay,
you're Denzel Washington and your daughter needs a heart transplant, so you what movie was that where he held the hospital under? Anyway, of course in that one we know he did. But anyway, I think that I could do
The Negotiator, where he took over the whole building. And, or any of those movies.
Yeah, all of those. Okay. I think I could do 3 years in prison, knowing that I was only going to do 3 years, and that I was innocent. But it's just 3 years, and I think that I could, because it's a little bit about the loan question, because it's like, well, what do they let you do? They let you read books. They let you work out. They feed you. True. I mean, as long as you don't get killed or shanked in there, you just got to keep your nose clean.
But I mean, I got rid of somebody that needed to get rid of, and got away with it scot-free. I live in my normal life. Didn't miss a beat.
Well, except for you live in fear that someone's going to find out.
I mean, I don't have to live in fear.
No, you have to live in fear. That's actually that's what it says.
It says I live in fear.
You live in fear of someone discovering it.
You
have to live in fear.
Well, that's a bummer.
That really changes things.
That really changes
how willing I am to kill somebody.
But I still got away with it, so it's like it never happened.
Yeah, I do feel like you can. I feel like with fear,
I feel like
you can like.
I feel like you've catapulted me into alcoholism or something because constant fear seems like you need some kind of remedy.
I mean, but fear is one of those things that dulls.
That's true.
That the longer
you get used to it. Yeah.
So could you deal with the immediate after effect? Because that's when it's going to be its strongest, and then it starts to dull because you're like, oh, I'm getting away with this, and suddenly like you still have fear. You still have to like anytime anytime like in the first year a cop drives by, you go, oh,
yeah.
And then it's like, well, every third time or like. Now it's not when the cop drives by, but when a cop like stares at you for a minute, you're like, oh.
Well, I mean, you're just asking me to live my life right now.
Yeah. And welcome to True Crime.
And here we go.
With Paul and Jim.
Yeah.
Jim, I wanted to talk to you.
I'd rather go to prison. Yeah, let's go to prison.
You thought you've been listening to just a podcast about Jesus, but actually, this has been a true crime podcast, and Jim is going to
No, we're not going to narrate anything. No, I don't think so.
No, that is not it. Fantastic. Hope you enjoyed those. Maybe if you have answers, you can send them to us via email at theunbrokenground@gmail.com. You can find us Facebook at The Unbroken Ground. You can put comments on there. Instagram, I put fun videos out on there every now and then. So check us out there as well. All right, we come to the point in the show where Jim forgets to prepare.
Yeah. So, do you know the difference between a hippo and a zippo?
Oh, a dad joke. I didn't even see this one coming. I do not. What is the difference? Is it the Z?
No. I mean, that's a difference.
Yeah, okay.
Typically, hippos are quite heavy. Zippos are just a little lighter.
Just a little lighter. Man, I don't know if I can think of a dad joke off the top of my head that I haven't told yet. Oh, goodness.
So a police officer walks up and says, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" My usual response is, "If you don't know, I'm out of here."
Duck walks into the bar, orders a drink, drinks it, walks out. Bartender yells at him and says, "Hey, you gonna pay for that?" And he goes, "Yeah, put it on my bill." Dad joke accomplished.
Nice, way to go. You just pulled that one out too.
Yeah.
I gotta. Well, the Zippo one I remembered, but I had to pull.
It's just a little lighter.
I think I got the police one wrong.
I like that one. I like the little lighter. All right, well, then
I saw a Spanish magician yesterday.
Oh no!
Did a disappearing act. He said uno, dos, and poof, he disappeared without a trace.
That's a multilingual joke.
Yeah,
man, that's for our Spanish listeners.
Yeah, there you go. Trying to get more overseas.
Bienvenido.
Just when you think food can't call your phone, boom, onion rings.
I like it. I like it a lot. Oh, man. All right, that's a good one. I like onion rings too. All right, well, we'll skip on to media recommendations. Jim has a book. I don't know if he has music, but we'll start with Jim's book. Jim, what book would you recommend?
Music is so hard for me, but I don't.
It's okay.
That's not my realm of. I just let Pandora suggest new stuff for me, and I listen to whatever.
Well,
today, actually, Spotify. Like I just clicked Spotify. I scrolled down and I was listening to top hits, and
okay.
I don't. I have no idea what I was listening to ever. I mean, it was just the top hits on Spotify. Anyway, so music is hard for me.
Okay.
But I think the book that I'm going to land on for today would be written by David Platt. And it's I had the title in my head, but now it's something like we should be countercultural, counterculture, something or other.
I think you told me it was we should be countercultural, but because we are called to counterculture. There you go.
That's what it is.
Really knocking it out with that.
Well, if you didn't have such a long stinking title, David Platt, because we are called to counterculture, David Platt. And I read a while ago. It's probably up for being reread by Jim because I probably need a reminder of exactly what it's about. But it's a good. If you're wrestling through maybe some of the current cultural mindsets that are out there, it's a good one that wrestles through a lot of the cultural mindsets that can steer us away from Christ. And I like those books because sin isn't necessarily just an absolute turning away from God. It's just doing what he's doing anything contrary to his holiness. And so I think those kind of books that kind of identify the culture and maybe aspects of our culture that are getting us to maybe just be complacent or ignorant. I think those are good books. So David Platt, because we are called to counterculture.
Nice. My book for this month of March, since we're looking back, is The Fantastic Bureau of Imagination. It's a book by Brad Montague. It's illustrated by him and his wife, Christy. It is a children's book, but it is for kids and former kids. And I think it really meshes well with the reason I started doing podcasts and writing blogs is that I think that God has gifted us all to be creative, and everybody's creative in their own way. So you may not start a podcast, you may not write blogs, you may not write sermons or be a pastor and those type of things, but that's fine. But you have your own gifts and talents, your own things that bring you joy. And so the story is about figments and figments of imagination and the crisis of the Cave of Untold Stories, which is just where all the untold stories go to live, and it's about to just overflow. And so we need the people all around to be creative and to tell the stories, and not just to think about them in their own minds, but to share them. And Brad is he's the creator of Soul Pancake. You probably have, if you've ever listened to Kid President, the videos that were pretty popular several years ago. But he just has a heart to see kids be creative, and former kids is what he calls us, adult type people, to be creative, and he invites us all to be part of the Fantastic Bureau of Imagination and just try to imagine and use our talents, our skills, our gifts, our hearts to tell the stories. And I think that's not unlike what Jesus does for us too. I think he invites us into telling the story again and again, and not changing the content necessarily of Jesus' story, the gospel, but telling it in fresh and new ways so people can interact with it, which is what Jesus did when he told stories. And so I think like all of that is very related. So even if you don't have kids, pick up the Fantastic Bureau of Imagination. Recommend it to your libraries, to your school teachers. I have it. It's on my work desk. I keep it there. It inspires me. Highly recommend it. No music for Jim, I don't think.
No. Dude, I'm telling you.
I know.
You keep asking me, and it's just not a world.
I just didn't want to like pass you by if you had come, if a name had popped in your head. So, What I'm gonna, so I'm actually gonna recommend
Lecrae.
Listen to
Go check
Lecrae.
out Lecrae.
He does have a new album out called Church Clothes. I think it's the final album. I don't know. He has a new
He's
album.
getting kind of old, so
I mean,
he's half our age, but
he's younger than us. So if he's getting old,
but he's been around for a
Okay,
while. I mean,
all right.
musicians.
yeah,
How many? I guess musicians.
every day. How many new musicians are there? Every single day. There's so many that we can't even name or know.
Right. But I mean,
Yeah,
how long do they last? I guess.
the Rolling Stones are still going.
I know. So is Aerosmith.
Yeah,
Kind of.
well, so forever until they stop.
But the Rolling Stones like sold their souls
Well,
to make the best music ever.
hey, they got a song in John Wick. So although it was a cover by somebody singing in Japanese, so
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna recommend Benjamin William Hastings as the artist from March.
It sounds familiar. I feel like I listened to him.
Yeah, he has a song called what is it called? Anyway, that's what it's called. I wasn't just like
No.
I don't know what the song
All
is. He has a song called Anyway. It's probably one of his more well-known one, but he has also sung with like Hillsong, and but he put out a solo album that has like 24 songs on it. And it's pretty raw in some of the places, so I enjoy that. But he sings this song that's called Anyway. Is just the chorus is basically whether the answer is yes or no or wait. I'm going to praise you anyway. And it's a good song. He's got a unique voice, and it's got a good message to it. So, and he's got other songs that are really good too. So listen, check out. What did I say his name was? He's got 3 names. I mean, Benjamin William Hastings.
Hastings. That sounds really familiar. I feel like I listened to him.
Yeah. So his album titled Benjamin William Hastings is a good one. Listen to it. It is. It definitely is worthy to listen to. So check that out. All right. This is by far the longest episode that we've done. Congratulations.
Way to go. I hope you're doing something productive as you listen to us. You can be like in the room with us.
Yeah.
Just hang
Maybe you
out with
paused.
us.
Maybe you paused and you're playing. Yeah, maybe it's taking a couple of listens to get through it. That's okay too. But for those of you
It
that
took
have
me a couple listens to get through too.
for sure. For those of you who have stuck with us, thank you. I am humbled by anybody that listens to this, and I hope that you're encouraged by it. Jim, any last thoughts before we sign off here?
No, I mean, thanks for listening, and God bless you, and pursue Him.
That's
Everything you got.
Yeah, that's it. That's our hope. That's our goal. That's our heart, is to be closer to Jesus. And so we hope that you hear that in our discussion, and that it encourages you as well. So thank you, and rock on. Thanks for listening. And hey, we'll see you next time.
Rock on.
Rock on.